As our Toastmaster said today, for some of our newer members, we sort of have an interesting cadence in our speech structure. And sometimes it can be really low, it can be really high, but they're always right on point. To that point, I'll say that many aspects of society are simply echoes from the past. However, values change. So do standards of what's As values change, so do standards of what's considered acceptable. Can you please, Weston, tell us about a social standard from the past that you wish was still being echoed in society today?
1 to 2 minutes.
Just want to make sure that I got the question right. So the question is, name or think of something from the past that I wish would social standard from the past that I wish were echoed today.
Yes.
Okay. I think one thing that we could, I guess, that one social thing that we as men don't do nowadays is it chivalry? Is that the word?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
When you first date a girl, you always open the door for her. You always pay for dinner.
Okay.
You make sure she's okay. Ask her 100 times a day. Are you okay? Do you need anything? But after a few months, it tends to die down. So I think one thing that we could do, men, is to maybe bring that back. Just think about it when you're with your girlfriend, when you're with your wife. Not necessarily, every day or make it something that is going to be out of your ordinary. But I think it would be nice for your special somebody to bring that back.
I agree. We lost Sean Pan and
Stepping
we got
on out there.
Weston.
Awesome. Originally, Kyle, this question was going to be for you, but because you spoke about our gentleman earlier, it's all right. I do, Mark, want to know. I would love for you to tell us about a person from the past that lived before the 1900s whose lifestyle you'd like to echo and why.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for that interesting question. So before the 1900s, I have to reach back here. So I think, so one of the books I read not too long ago was one about Rockefeller, who I believe was born or lived. I think does the whole life need to be before the 1900s?
It's all right.
So I believe he was born before and lived mostly before the 1900s. And so I thought he was a really interesting guy because he had this very kind of religious background. He was a Baptist, and yet he was kind of perceived as ruthless in business. And so, but some of his business practices, I think, were a little perhaps aggressive and questionable as far as creating monopolies. But as far as he was very detail-oriented, he was a numbers guy. He was very skilled in accounting. And so I liked how detailed he was, how he was committed to his businesses, those sorts of things. It's something I feel like that we don't always, a lot of people don't have these days. They don't pay attention to details or care about what they do, versus he was very invested in what he was doing. Some would say maybe a little too much because he kind of took over everything. But as far as outside of work, he gave to charity a lot. He was, like I said, very active in his church and things like that. And so I think that's something worth emulating. Someone from the 1900s who I think certain aspects of their life would be interesting to emulate.
Right.
Billions of dollars would be nice too.
Fun. Continuing with the same cadence of the theme of in the old days, Sarah, I would love for you to introduce yourself to us in your best Old English accent. Know your audience.
Oi! My name is Sarah, and I don't do English accents very well. This is quite painful.
Excellent.
This is such a cheerful.
One suggestion in your speech, Kyle, what I thought was really great was listening on repeat. Actually didn't know about that website, but it totally makes sense to me because sometimes I need a cadence to focus like that. So I will put things on repeat or listen to instrumentals just so I can hear the patterns going. So I'll check it out. To that point,
Got the cadence in there.
yeah. To that point, one thing people often imitate are songs. However, some remakes are not always good as the original. So Helen, I would love for you to tell us about a song that should have never ever been remade and why you're angry about it, and just express, yeah.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Table Topics Master. I think it's not a song, but it's actually a musical. I love Sound of Music. I love the original. I love Julie Andrews' voice, her singing. And even though several years ago they did a remake with Carrie Underwood and some other guy, I forgot his name. I saw that on TV. Although it was well done, it was good, but I think it did not compare to the original. Carrie Underwood, her voice is good, but it's different than Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews has an angelic, she could hit the high notes better than Carrie. Carrie has a lower, more country voice, and so I don't think it was cast very well. And then I forgot the original guy's name who sang Edelweiss, but when he sang that, it is so beautiful. And the children on the original movie were really good too. And even though the children here on the second one, modern one, they're quite talented too. But I was a little disappointed to see the second one. It could not compare to the original classic, which I love, Sound of Music. Thank you.
We have one more question. As we go through our life, we try to do well, and we try to create a legacy for ourselves. Wayne, I would love to know that if someone was trying to echo your lifestyle 200 years from now, what characteristics would they be personifying? Would you love to see echoed?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master Aaron. I would say if there was one, what was it called? There was one quality about me. Is that what? Characteristic. Okay. So one characteristic that I would like for someone to maybe echo in about 200 years from now would be just my demeanor of being easygoing and just allowing things to kind of flow, kind of maybe move. Roll with the punches type of thing. Bruce Lee he had quoted something similar to be like water. So you're always fluid, you're always moving, and you're not rigid, where if something were to happen and something were to change, then you're kind of caught and you can't really move too well. So he had said, move like water. I know that's like I guess what do you call it? Like, cliche. Yeah, I guess it's a cliche that has to deal with martial arts. But if you kind of look at it from a broad spectrum, or even a spectrum of everyday life, it's just something that we could all use. Whether it's being pulled into a movie meeting last minute or going on blind date or even being called up for a table topic music. So that would be it, just easy going.
Now at this time I would love to turn it over to our Toastmaster, Mr. Bruno Dieseldorf.